Well, President Trump renewing his threats to impose tariffs on China today, tweeting, President Xi and I want this deal to happen, and it probably will. But if not, remember, I am a tariff man. When people or countries come to raid the great wealth of our nation, I want them to pay for the privilege of doing so. Joining me now from the White House, top trade advisor Peter Navarro. Peter, I got a lot of stuff I'd like to go through with you. If we can please hit all of these things, because there's so many questions. You are the man of the moment. First, you have this meeting, this dinner. Initially, everyone's thinking it was very successful. I want to ask you about the 142 demands that were made before this dinner. What has China agreed to, and what do you think they will agree to?
Well, first of all, the dinner was highly successful. We had the president of China and the United States have a very warm and constructive exchange, and we've set off with a clear path over the next 90 days to deal substantively with structural issues and market access issues. And I think that people should be very optimistic about the possibilities here. Because,
did they reply to any of the 142 demands, though, specifically?
They didn't just reply to it. They went over it point by point. That was the beauty of this, Charles. I mean, I was privileged to be in the room. And it's extraordinary that the president of China himself, rather than one of his minions, sat there for essentially 45 minutes with extensive notes and talked through a lot of the 142 items on the list and provided the American side with assurances that they would be addressed. There was 3 buckets in that. The first bucket was stuff that will definitely get done. The second bucket was things that we think we can get done, we'll move on. And the third bucket were things that were going to be contentious to negotiate, but they were the smallest of the 3 buckets. So I think, look, there's a couple of reasons to be optimistic here. First of all, if you're an investor or you're a corporate executive, the most important thing for the long-term health of the world trading system is to get China to stop doing all the stuff it does on forced technology transfer, intellectual property theft, massive subsidies and things like that. They are a destabilizing force.
Peter, with all due respect,
economy.
You're talking to the chorus here. I want to help answer some of these questions, though, that the market has today. When will China start to lower these auto tariffs, and when will they go to zero?
Supposed to be, all of this stuff is supposed to happen within the 90-day period. We're not waiting for anything. They're supposed to move forward beginning with major purchases of both agricultural and manufactured products. And I think that we're engaging in real time with the team, with the Chinese team, and we expect to see progress. I mean, they came prepared to the meeting. They had, again, extensive notes on these 142 items. It wasn't like, oh, wow, this is new to us.
Sure.
They knew that. So I think what the markets have to do is give this process the requisite time. I mean, it's silly for the markets to react.
There's no doubt, Peter, the market,
rumors in the air.
I agree with you, but also if we can get some straiter answers that might help the market. For instance,
I'm trying. What more do you need?
All right, the U.S. on these European auto tariffs. There's a rumor that maybe President Trump will meet with some of these executives today or talk to them. We know there have been overtures, Volkswagen, BMW saying, hey, we might even open up more plants in America. Are we going to go through with these auto tariffs on our European allies?
There are going to be really good substantive discussions with the German automakers. Those are imminent, and I think that we have a really good path to coming up with having these companies invest more in America and not just build these assembly plants like we have down in South Carolina, where only 25% of the content is American, but actually build their engines, transmissions, and electronics here as well. So, yes, I'm very bullish on that. We've got Wilbur Ross, Robert Lighthizer involved in those discussions, as well as several others. The president is paying keen attention to this. And again, Charles, what's great about this is that they wouldn't be coming to the table here to talk to us unless the president had auto tariffs on the table. But I think by this time, look, the president has threatened tariffs, Korea, with Canada and Mexico. And what do we got? We got good deals.
Worked.
So
it's worked.
Give him some time to work his magic.
Okay, soybeans. When will the Chinese begin to buy soybeans?
Well, they're already beginning to buy soybeans. I mean, they overplayed their hand in terms of retaliating on our farmers. They were even criticized within their own borders by people who dare to criticize the president there. And what they did was they bought a bunch of stuff stockpiled in advance. The tariffs came on, and they dried the market up and tried to punish us. Didn't work. Sonny Perdue came to the soybean farmers' aid, and now China's out of soybeans. They need it, so they're already beginning to buy. Brazil didn't have enough. This is a great time of year because the soybean crop's coming in. This time they start to buy stuff, and so that market's going to be fine.
Right.
They're going to buy other stuff. I mean, again, I'm trying to give you solid market-moving information as you're asking, and I'm just telling you they're going to buy some soybeans.
They're going to buy them. So, I mean, this is one of the key indicators we're looking for. I mean, can we hear from the farming industry and say, hey, yeah, we've seen a noticeable uptick in orders? I mean, can we hear that today, this week?
You should see that soon. Look, we left our here. Let me explain something here that's really important. We left Argentina on Saturday night, December 1st. The Chinese delegation itself was going on down to Latin America, to Panama in particular, and won't be back on Chinese soil to December 5th. So give them a little bit of time to deal with the jet lag and roll their sleeves up. But, I mean, look, you're asking me specific questions. I'm giving you specific
I appreciate it, Peter.
Answers, and I think everything I'm saying is bullish.
Everything you're saying is bullish. You know, the key is, of course, when do these things happen? If they all happen, of course, everyone's going to toss up the confetti, and, you know, even the mainstream media for a split second may give the administration some credit. Although I don't want to go too far.
That will never happen.
I got to ask you
Come
this.
on, Charles.
All right, Peter, we
you
need
let
to
me down there.
We got to talk about this, though. President Trump's tariff man. I'm tariff man. That was one of the key news items early in the session to me that triggered the selling. Can you explain to the American public how the U.S. government is making money right now off of tariffs?
Sure, and let me give you a little background on that, because that's an homage to one of the President Trump's favorite presidents, William McKinley. When McKinley was running in 1896 on a platform of prosperity, protection, and patriotism, he said he's a tariff man standing on a tariff platform. And what McKinley did when he got elected was put in strong tariffs and realign the currency, and it actually set off a tremendous catalytic growth, but also helped realign the Republican Party. So there's a lot of history in that one phrase of the president.
There were some big, it did help the economy, but the Republicans took some big losses because everyone thought the rich benefited. But tell us now.
I don't know why they lost, but
how does the money go into the coffers of the U.S. government?
$7 billion.
How does the money go from work out the mechanism that the money is going into the U.S. coffers right now from these tariffs? How does that work?
Sure, I think we've collected $7 billion so far, which is, I think that's real money at this point. And I think what's important here, Charles, the function of these tariffs, when the president says he's a tariff man, he also understands that one of the most important functions of these tariffs is to make sure that people invest within our borders. The steel and aluminum tariffs have been tremendously successful at attracting investment. The mere threat of auto tariffs has triggered a commitment from auto companies to come here and invest. So tariffs, look, you got to understand, it's like China's had high tariff and non-tariff barriers for the last 30 years.
And their economy
they've grown at like 12% a year.
We just needed you to update us on this stuff, Peter, and
I'm telling you, I'm giving you facts here, Charles.
You're a straight shooter. I appreciate it, and I can't wait to get you back on.